To be timeless is to be free. Think about it. If you exist in a world where you refuse to acknowledge the existence of time, you essentially work off of a nearly guilt-free existence. I think the less that you start to imagine how much time you've been spending doing something, the more in tune you get to be with in yourself. The more you start to think, well, I am enjoying doing this thing. I'm going to do it longer. Or I'm not enjoying doing this thing and I don't want to do this anymore. Without the constraint of time to see how long you've been doing something, it's it becomes a more than valid reason to just pick up and stop doing something simply because you're not interested in doing it. If you're guilty of spending too much time on something, it's probably because you can see in terms of the numerical digits passing by of time being like, damn, I spent an hour wasting time. I spent an hour scrolling YouTube shorts, scrolling Instagram reels, cranking my hog, whatever it might be. And then because you're like, well, there goes my that hour of my day, now you are depressed and it's going to throw you into a lull of, well, I can't do anything anymore because, I already wasted this hour and what's another hour to waste, right? But if you don't know what an hour is, if you merely only can measure time by examining the world changing around you, suddenly that starts to matter much less. Suddenly you're able to engage with things on a deeper level, on the level of purely whether or not you want to be doing the very thing that you are doing right now. And at that point, it becomes a very binary kind of system where all you have to do is just say yes or no and follow suit with whatever collateral comes after that. Any consequences, really, not collateral. I mean, I guess same difference. Follow suit with that. Follow, if you say yes, keep doing it. Keep enjoying the thing that you're doing. If you say no, stop. Easy as that. Move on to the next thing. And don't worry about how much time it takes in between and how much time you spent doing blah 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 blah. There's only a few things that I believe you should base yourself around time. And I think that's important things like meeting with people or meeting with a client, um, you know, getting to work on time, plotting out all these things, I believe is beneficial. It's the reason that we're here at all. Uh, you know, most most of the history of humanity probably wouldn't exist without the invention of time. Um, it's it's the only way that you can kind of like game the system uh, and coordinate between humans across long distances by assuming that time has this recurring value and such. And it's really based off the sun. So, uh, but that's another thing too that is kind of time dependent. Sleep, getting to sleep at like the same time. You should be aware of that. You should be aware of the patterns of the sun. We now live in a culture where it's completely normal to just deny how our species evolved for millennia, like a million years, pretty much. For forever. I mean, as long as life has been here on Earth, we have moved to the rhythm of the sun, and especially humans, because we're pretty worthless without a light at night. We really had to move to the rhythm of the sun, and now we just, because of the invention of artificial light, electric light, we can exist out places much longer and do things at night for much longer periods of time. And in fact, at this point, it's actually incentivized to do that because in our culture, especially among the youth, it's just a commonality to stay up late because you spend your whole day doing shit that you don't care about. Even if you're not youthful, if you're like me in your mid 20s, or even in your mid 30s or your 50s, whatever, you spend all of your day working at a place that you probably don't give a shit about. Or, if you're younger, you're going to school that you don't give a shit about. So when you get home, all you want to do is engage with things as long as you possibly can, which unfortunately passes over into the night. And I think that's also another reason why we're so aware of time, why we feel the need to put labels on things in terms of timeliness. We feel the need to say, well, I spent an hour working out. I deserve 10 minutes of YouTube shorts and all this kind of stuff. And or, like I should play an hour of guitar, or I should play an hour of drums. I should practice for this long, and I should do something for this long. Setting time limitations is like, it's good. I think it helps with motivation in the beginning, but I think it gets to be a bit of a hindrance because suddenly you'll find that, especially with something like practicing an instrument, which I find is very difficult for the first 5 minutes that you're engaging with it. You're like, oh, this sucks, I suck, oh, what the hell. And after those 5 minutes, suddenly you're like, oh, this is all right, this is fun, I like this. But now you've already spent 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes even, warming yourself up to the feeling. And if you've given yourself half an hour just to practice something, well, now you're only at 20 minutes because it took you a little bit to warm up. Um, and then that 20 minutes ends, the total 30 minutes, and you're like, well, guess I'm done. Good job. Good on me for practicing, right? But really, I think you're letting time dictate your life. You're not letting you dictate your life. You're letting this imaginary thing that doesn't even exist, except for the idea that it comes from the rhythm of the sun, from or at least how the Earth rotates in perspective of the sun, uh, and it's totally made up. You're dictating your whole life off of this, and it makes no difference if you do or not. It's like the time is indifferent to you. And I don't know, I'll say it again. It just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. So, you know, why base your life around it entirely? Base parts of it, that's totally fine. But don't base your whole life around it. Enjoy what you want to enjoy when you want to enjoy it, for how long you want to enjoy it, as long as you want to enjoy it. If you don't want to enjoy, if you're not enjoying something, stop it. I've said it like 3 times by now. Why aren't you listening to me? Like I yeah, I think time in many ways is kind of like, you know, the enemy in this sense. You don't want to base your life solely around it. It's much better to be timeless than timely. Think about all great works of art too. I think a lot of the great works of art that stand the test of time, it's a common phrase, right? Are those that are timeless rather than timely. It's not going to be the best art in the world is not going to be someone making a diss track on Donald Trump. It something that's going to make that facet of music in let's just say music is the example here. Something that's going to make that more effective in terms of standing the test of time and being timeless is not speaking on timely things. Donald Trump is merely a human and will be gone within the next 50 years because of old age. Simple as that. Whereas, I think the feelings that might be aroused when someone might think of him And it could be feelings of disgust, hatred, for some, joy, whatever it could be. you know I I think those are the more important things. The more you can obfuscate that which is what you're speaking about, the longer you extend the lifespan of the piece of art that you're making. You now have the ability to communicate the same feeling that you had in 2026 to someone in the world, maybe on the other side of the world, in 3026. Like, God knows, who knows where, like, how long things can stand the test of time, especially music. Recorded music right now is at an all-time high in terms of clarity and fidelity. Like, I don't know, I can't conceptually understand how it can get much better than this, because it's like, we can record something as raw as it exists to our perception of it by our own human ear. But I don't know if I'm running out of time on my timer here. I don't want this to go too long, but um, don't don't be timely, be timeless. Don't be timely, be timeless.